This is VOA News. I'm Joe Ramsey. According to Hamas-run government officials, Israeli airstrikes hit a refugee camp near Gaza City for a second day in a row on Wednesday, which they say caused many deaths and injuries. VOA's Linda Gradstein has more from Jerusalem.
Israel says that several senior Hamas people were in that refugee camp and they were targeting them, especially one who was one of the planners of the October 7th massacre in which several thousand Hamas gunmen came into Israel and killed some 1,400 people, mostly civilians. Israel says it had told civilians for several weeks to leave that area, knowing that was sort of a stronghold of Hamas and that Israel was going to bomb it. There were many deaths. We're talking about probably several dozen killed and maybe more.
VOA's Linda Gradstein. Hamas is a U.S. designated terrorist group. The head of the United Nations Palestinian Refugee Agency, or UNRWA, visited Gaza on Wednesday for the first time since Israel started bombarding the Strip on October 7th, following the deadly attack by Islamist group Hamas.
I never ever have seen something similar in Gaza when I came before, after conflict.
UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini, who earlier this week warned the UN Security Council that Palestinians in the besieged Gaza Strip were being subjected to forced displacement and collective punishment. U.S. President Joe Biden's administration said American citizens began leaving the war-hit Gaza Strip on Wednesday after weeks of U.S. diplomacy involving Egypt and Qatar. An Egyptian official said 335 foreigners and 76 wounded Palestinians were allowed to cross into Egypt on Wednesday through the Rafah crossing. This is VOA News. Pakistani authorities began rounding up undocumented foreigners, most of them Afghans, on Wednesday, ahead of a midnight deadline for them to leave or face expulsion. The removal of people to temporary holding centers began a day earlier than previously announced. The Interior Ministry said more than 140,000 people had already voluntarily left after days in which trucks piled high with belongings and crammed with people have jammed major roads out of the country. Digital officials, tech company bosses, and researchers are converging to discuss what to do about the extreme risks posed by cutting-edge artificial intelligence. AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports from London.
On a historic estate near London, Bletchley Park, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is convening a two-day AI safety summit that's focused on so-called frontier AI. Discussions at the summit will look at how far the new technology can go and on the as-yet unknown dangers. AI is underpinned by foundation models which power chatbots like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Bard, trained on vast pools of information scraped from the internet. Charles de Ledesma, London.
Russia has designated the Central European University in Vienna, founded by billionaire financier and civil society activist George Soros, as an undesirable organization, according to a list on its website. Prosecutors had accused the CEU of discrediting Russia's political leadership and the Russian forces that have invaded Ukraine in what Moscow calls a special military operation, and of recruiting staff to formulate a global anti-Russian agenda in the media, a Russian daily reported. Opera singers and musicians in the northeast Ukrainian city of Kharkiv are taking to a makeshift basement theater more than 20 months into Russia's war. Reuters correspondent Elon Rubens reports.
In a theatre basement in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, these opera singers and orchestra are holding a dress rehearsal, safe from the threat of Russian airstrikes. The Kharkiv State Academic Opera and Ballet Theatre has kitted out its basement with a stage, a makeshift orchestra pit and rows of seats. Despite the regular airstrikes, officials say residents have returned to Kharkiv since fleeing at the start of the invasion. The theatre hopes to put on performances regularly, with the basement essentially serving as a bomb shelter.
Reuters correspondent Elon Rubens. Download the VOA mobile app. I'm Joe Ramsey, VOA News.
Thank you for watching. Can you do me a favor? Please leave a comment in the comments section below. That would really help. Thank you, and see you again soon.